Hey everybody, and welcome back to Smith Party of 6. I feel like I have not said that in forever. It is awesome to have you guys here. I am so excited to be recording this video today. It's not even funny. So I've been gone for like 3 months now, I think. But honestly, we just kind of needed to take that time. We were still figuring out our new flow with homeschooling, especially not, just with the one of homeschooling Arwen, but also with adding 2 other older kiddos into the mix and having a toddler running around and my husband working from home and just all the things. So in harder seasons like that, something has to kind of give. Obviously, family and homeschool comes first for us. And so I just had to lay down YouTube and blogging for a little while, but I'm really excited to be back and doing it again. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and jump into today's video, which is what I've learned in the last 7 months of homeschooling. We're doing year-round this year. And so we started back in June. I know that's not really recommended because my 2 older ones came out of public school. You really should probably de-school first. I am one that doesn't always listen to advice. I don't know. I'm just kind of like headstrong in that way. Like I want to figure stuff out for myself. And really, honestly, the kids did a good job, but it probably is good to kind of give them a break and some separation in between, like where public school ends and where homeschooling begins. So they really only didn't have school for like a couple weeks, and then we went ahead and started in with homeschooling and did it kind of slowly in the beginning just to kind of get them used to it. And honestly, it's just gone so well. Not everything has been perfect. There's definitely been some things that we have to figure out and adjust for along the way, and some lessons that I've learned, which is, like I said, what I want to share with you. Just so far, what I've learned from these short 7 months of homeschooling. And it really has felt super short. Like the time has just flown by. I cannot believe that we're almost like halfway through. Not almost, we're halfway through our first year of homeschooling, and it's insane. So the rest of our 2019 that you guys didn't really see was like sort of hectic, but also restful at the same time. Like I don't know how those 2 things go together. It was really just a season of us figuring out how to navigate and protect our time together more than anything else. Aspen, who you've seen in some of the videos, he's our youngest. He is now walking and talking, and he's hilarious. And Arwen, who you guys know, is not the same little girl that you've seen in all those videos. I swear it's like she matures every day. The stuff that comes out of her mouth definitely keeps us on our toes. Like, who are you, child? Like, she's just so much more mature than her actual age. It's just so interesting. And then Alexia, our 5-year-old, she has really like blossomed during this time. She's always been kind of like our wild child and like, the goofy little spirit. But now so many of her other traits, really good, positive, beautiful traits, are starting to develop in her, and we can see them so much more. And that's just been amazing. And then Elijah, our oldest, he's 7, and he is just so incredibly wise. Like I marvel at him almost every single day, and like I get to sit and listen to his point of view and then pour back into him the things that I think that he needs to grasp. Like nothing in the world is like parenting. There's just something about it, first of all. But then second of all, getting to spend so much time with them now through homeschooling and not having to ship them off to public school for a big chunk of the day. Like there's just nothing like it. I am so incredibly thankful to, number 1, be given the opportunity to get to be their mom, but also number 2, to be given this opportunity by God to homeschool them. Honestly, I could bawl on camera right now, trying really hard not to, but I definitely could. So all of that has just been amazing and just a complete gift to get to spend so much time with them and not have to miss out on all these moments. Speaking of God, the very first thing that I really want to dive into and talk to you guys about that I've really learned is that we are not in this homeschooling journey alone, because first and foremost of God, He definitely called me to this. He just continued to have like that tug on my heart telling me that this was what we were supposed to do. And when he leads you into something like that, I know that we hear it all the time, where God guides, he provides. That's absolutely true though, because I definitely could not do this on my own. I am not patient enough to do this on my own. And I get to see it now every single day. I see my own shortcomings and my own failures and areas where I'm still jagged and need to be smoothed out. And homeschooling is definitely working on so many different parts of me now, or I should say God is through the homeschooling. But I see so clearly now, and you do when you're homeschooling, that you're not in this alone. There have been so many times where all these just little things add up to just being like an amazing homeschool day, an awesome learning experience for the kids that I didn't actually plan. Like, I sort of planned it, you know, I put the ducks in the row where they needed to go or whatever, but then God just like swoops in and is like, hey, you didn't see this, but guess what? I've been in this plan all along. But if you're a homeschooling mom, you probably know what I'm talking about. Those times when it's just like everything lines up and you're like, I didn't do that. God definitely just did that. There have been so many times like that, and I feel like it's one of those things where he's reaching out to let me know, I'm in this with you. You're not doing this alone, because homeschooling it can be so exhausting and so draining. And that's one of the things that I think I shared with you guys at the beginning of the year. Like, after our first week of homeschooling, I was like, guys, I'm so tired. I'm so much more tired than what I thought I would be. And it is like, it takes so much out of you because you're just pouring into them for however long you're teaching. And at that point, like, I didn't have our schedule down to like a really good science and a good flow yet. So I was teaching them till like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, basically. So from early in the morning until 2, I was just like pouring and pouring and pouring. And it felt like half the time was from an empty cup. Like, I don't have anything else to pour. And so it's so exhausting. But then it's amazing when you see that you're not in it alone and that God is with you the whole time. And I've seen multiple times now where God is speaking directly, especially to my son, my oldest son, who's 7. Like, he definitely is hearing from the Lord without realizing that he's hearing from the Lord. And I don't mean this in like some prophetic sort of way or anything like that. I'm not saying that. But the questions that he's raising and the conclusions that he's coming to on his own, they're things that I've prayed for, things that I'm hoping that my children will see, things that I'm hoping that my children will learn. And I'm not just talking about school-wise reading, writing, and arithmetic, you know, I'm talking about bigger things, weightier things, and he's seeing them, and it's like God has definitely opened his eyes to them and put certain things on his heart. And so just to have that to know 100% it's not all on my shoulders. Homeschool mama, it is not all on your shoulders. God is right there with you. If he has called you to this, and I believe that anybody who is willing, he is calling to this. If he's called you to this, if he's laid this on your heart, then he's going to step in and be a big part of your homeschool. I couldn't do this without him. I promise, guys, I was not trying to make this some like big tear fest for me, but I'm tearing up every 2 seconds. But I definitely could not do this on my own, and I can only do it through the power of Jesus Christ, and that's it. So in that way, we're not alone. And then he's also given us the gift of each other and of community and of other like-minded moms whose hearts that he's laid this same task on. And a lot of times when it comes to other people, I feel like I'm an island. I often feel kind of separated from a lot of other people, which might be weird because, you know, here I am putting videos up on YouTube or whatever, but I'm really not a person that usually connects very easily with other people. And yet I find that so many other women in the homeschooling community are my type of women. They are the God-loving, God-fearing women. A lot of times they're moms who really value things like staying at home and modesty and other stuff like that that aren't valued in today's culture. And so it's just also been really cool to see that I'm not alone in that aspect, that I'm not as weird as what I've maybe have felt in the past, and that truly we have each other as a community. So whether it's like co-op or just meeting other homeschool moms in general, seeing other homeschool moms on YouTube that are just like such an encouragement and a blessing to my heart. It's just so nice to see so many other homeschooling mamas out there passionate about the same things that I'm passionate about. The second thing, and there's only 3, but the second thing that I have really learned is about intentionality and flexibility. So intentionality is something that I feel like we hear a lot about, like over the past year or two. Like being intentional has become like a very like, you know, trendy thing. It's something that is on our minds a lot, especially as it relates to motherhood and being more intentional about our time with our kids and things like that. But also with homeschool, obviously it's super important to be intentional, but I'm also gonna say that it's super important to be flexible. So having a plan and being okay when things don't actually go to plan and letting life kind of happen and just trusting again that God is in the plan and that it's going to be okay. So towards the beginning of the year, I thought that I had a really good plan in my mind of everything that like needed to happen and what was going to happen, and I had kind of our whole year laid out. But honestly, even though I've loosely followed that, I haven't fully followed it. There have been so many times when things have not at all gone to plan, especially with our more like family style activities that we do. So our Bible and our science and our social studies, none of that stuff has gone to plan. It's completely different than what I thought it was going to be at the beginning of the school year, or before the school year began, I guess I should say. So it was good to have that plan and to give myself those ideas of what could and possibly should happen. And especially with language and math, it was good to have that plan to see kind of where the kids needed to be at certain points, how far along they should be if we're going to finish certain things before the end of the year or whatever. So it was good in that sense, but flexibility has just given me peace of mind and caused me to kind of let go a little bit and not have to try to stick to the plan. So I would say it's awesome to have a plan, but don't feel like you have to stick to it. Be flexible, allow life to just happen sometimes, and just trust that because you already know you're not alone, that God is with you and that He is going to help you through whatever. And the third one kind of ties the first and the second together a little bit. I tend to be a perfectionist, not with everything, but with a lot of things. And my anxiety levels kind of start to go up when things aren't going the way that I think that they need to go. So it's been really beneficial for me to see that sometimes actual perfection happens in the times that are more chaotic or more messy, instead of when you would assume that perfection would happen when everything is more controlled. Sometimes I feel like I want to hold on to expectations, or like we talked about in the last one, plans too tightly, because I have things envisioned in my mind for how I want certain things to go, how I want light bulbs to click in their mind, or the experiences that I want us to have together. And I'm trying to make or create these perfect moments. But if things actually went that way, it wouldn't necessarily be my family, because we're human and we're all messy and things don't always go to plan. And achieving that perfect moment isn't always actually possible. But what is possible is what I've seen happening over and over and over again in our homeschool. And that's that moments that actually have that feeling of perfection, where you just want to sit back and like take a picture and like just marinate in that moment for a minute, because it's just so wonderful. Like those moments happen so often in times that are not perfect, or that feel controlled, or that feel like times when you should have that feeling. And what I've realized is that it's more important to let go of the perfect that I can do and instead trust God to make beauty in the midst of what's imperfect, in the midst of the things that I buck against. Like, I do art all the time with the kids, but when I think about pulling out all the stuff and making like this giant chaotic mess in the dining room. It's just not on my list of things that I want to do for the day. It's just not. And yet so many of those times I end up sitting there and actually enjoying it. I enjoy the conversations that we have when they're making and creating. I enjoy watching them, and they have so much fun doing it. And our homeschool day just wouldn't be the same if they didn't get to do something creative. And the best times when they're actually doing art, and like art that is really just sweet and shows me their heart, are the times when I just let them have at it. Just do free art. So not something that I've seen on Pinterest and I'm like, oh my goodness, it would be so darling if they made this. Let's do this together. Those are me and my contrived moments of perfection, me trying to do the perfect things and have all of these nice things for us to look back on. But instead, those times are a nightmare. The kids aren't super happy with what I've chosen to do, or they feel bored with it, or it's not really what they're wanting because it's not giving them their own sense of creative expression. And so when I just let the chaos and the messy happen, a lot of actual perfect feeling moments happen. The moments that like I wanted when I thought of homeschooling. So that's just been a really, really special thing for me to learn too. So that was the third and final thing that I wanted to share with you guys today. So again, number one is that we are not alone. God is with us in everything, and He's given us awesome community. Number two is that we need both intentionality and flexibility when doing this whole homeschooling thing. We've got to be able to plan it, but also let go of our plan. And number three is about letting go of contrived perfection for those actual perfect moments that arise in the midst of the chaos and the mess. All right, that is all that I had for you guys today. Like I said, I'm so glad to be back. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe down below if you want to see more videos like this, and also stay-at-home mom life type videos. Turn on the bell notification if you also want to be notified every single time that I upload a new video, and I will catch y'all next time. Bye.